I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the outcome. There's no punishment that fits the crime. Not even torture and death would be justice. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all eternity, for murdering 4 innocent children. But while I stand up here trembling with fear, I put on my bravest face to be in the same room with the man who murdered all 4 of my children. 2 of them violently in front of me with a gun, Chadney and Kara. And he killed my other 2 babies, Coy and Kaylee, with a hose that ran from the tailpipe of his car to where they were innocently sleeping.
You know the saying, be careful who you fall in love with. Well, Faith Harris Green fell in love and married Gregory Green, who she thought was the man of her dreams. However, Gregory was someone with a very sick and twisted mind. When Faith said, "I do," she had no idea that he would commit crimes against her and their family that would have tragic consequences she would have to live with for the rest of her life. Who was Faith Green, you ask? She was a loving and devoted mother and wife. She raised her children to be loving and giving. She wanted them to have successful lives. All I ever wanted to be was a mother and a wife and raise my children to be productive members of society and be happy. She had so many plans for the future, but she had no idea that those plans would never become reality because of the monster she was living with. The victims of this brutal murder case include 5-year-old Coy Green, 4-year-old Calais Green, 19-year-old Chadney Allen, and 17-year-old Kara Allen. Coy and Calais Green were Gregory's children with Faith Green, while Chadney and Kara Allen were his stepchildren. What really happened on this day in 2016? Gregory brutally shot and murdered his stepchildren as he made Faith watch. She was bound with duct tape and zip ties. He sliced Faith's face with a box cutter and shot her in the foot as well. He then proceeded to poison his young girls with carbon monoxide. Gregory poisoned them from a car's exhaust in the driveway of the family's house. This wasn't the first time Gregory had murdered someone. Prior to marrying Faith, he had already served 16 years in prison. Shockingly, he was jailed for murdering his wife, Tanya, who was pregnant with his child at the time. It was the year 1992 when Gregory stabbed Tanya in the face and chest. This attack proved fatal and Tanya died. Just like he did after murdering his children with Faith, he called officers after murdering Tanya as well and waited to be arrested. He pleaded no contest in the case and served 16 years in prison. In 2008, the murderer was paroled with the support of his family and friends.
Red flags that you ignored, and if so, what were some of those?
I can say the red flags were, mood swings, the arguments for no reason, or, basically it was like being married but single. He just paid the bills, but he didn't want to be interactive. And then it got to the point where it was like, he didn't want the older 2 there, really.
These friends included Detroit pastor named Fred Harris, who happened to be Faith's father. He lobbied on Gregory's behalf and wrote to the Michigan Parole Board in 2005. Gregory and I were friends before his mishap, and he was incarcerated. He was a member of our church. I feel he's paid for his unfortunate lack of self-control and the damage he's caused as much as possible and is sorry. Here, it is important to note that Faith had known Gregory since her youth. He was a friend of her father, and the 2 met at Faith's father's church. And although she knew that Gregory had spent many years in prison, she didn't exactly know why he had gone to prison. And when she asked him about his past life during their time together, he wouldn't speak on it. While talking about her relationship with Gregory, Faith explained that everything was going great in the beginning, but as time passed, Gregory started to change. When she gave birth to their first child, Faith could see a noticeable change in the behavior of Gregory, who would become angry and abusive at times. And the abusive nature of him continued to grow to the point where he committed this horrible crime. Faith later revealed that she tried to leave him after he became so abusive. She had filed for divorce 3 times. In fact, she even filed for divorce a month before her children were brutally murdered by their own father.
Faith would file for divorce 3 times, including the last about a month before the incident. For women in similar situations, she wants them to know this.
The one thing that I didn't realize at the time that I found out after is when you're preparing to leave, that's the most dangerous time, which I knew I didn't even know, And in my mind, I'm just like, well, I'm just preparing. I just want to save money so I can just, get my kids out of there and just get our own place. But, I didn't know his mindset.
Investigation revealed Gregory planned these murders. What can make someone commit a crime such as this? After Gregory took the lives of his children, he did not try to flee and hide. He picked up the phone, called the police, and confessed to these terrible crimes. Gregory told the police that he was waiting for them to arrive. When the officers arrived, they found him on the front porch, patiently waiting to be arrested. When the investigation began, it was discovered by Wayne County Assistant Prosecutor Tricia Gerard that the murders were pre-planned. He purchased duct tape, zip ties, and other items at the Home Depot a week before the killings. Why did Gregory commit these murders? It's unclear why Gregory committed these horrific crimes. No one exactly knows why he immediately called 911 after committing the murders, since he was found medically fit. Reports suggest that he was referred for a competency exam at his preliminary examination. The results of the exam deemed Gregory medically competent. This man wasn't suffering from any mental health issues. He had a loving wife and beautiful children. He wasn't sad about anything. You might also want to note that during his sentencing and hearing, Gregory was very apologetic. However, he didn't explain why he murdered his children and first wife. This guy had a good record in prison and there was no trace of violence. He followed the rules and stayed out of trouble. No one would have thought that he would commit such brutal crimes after being released. Now the question is, how can we avoid such crimes? Is there a way to protect our children and women from such horrible husbands and fathers? Let me know in the comments below what you think. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Is justice being served? Gregory was convicted of murdering his 2 children as well as 2 stepchildren in 2016. Then in 2017, Judge Donna Hathaway sentenced him to 45 to 100 years in prison. And that's not it. He'll also have to serve another mandatory 2 years on 1 count of weapon possession. He was 50 years old at the time, which means that he'll be 97 years old before he's eligible for parole. He was found guilty on 4 counts of second-degree murder, torture, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and felony firearm for attacking his wife. Judge Donna had some strong words and stated, "Of all the tragic cases this court has seen, the facts of this one is by far the worst. Fathers are supposed to protect their children. Husbands are supposed to protect their wives." Where is Faith present day? Faith currently works with a women's shelter in Metro Detroit. Faith has also written a book about the tragic experience titled The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice. As a result of having to deal with the hurts and pain of this trauma, Faith suffers from PTSD. In honor of her late children, she created Chadware to honor Chadney's artwork. Faith also created a lip gloss and hand sanitizer business in honor of her youngest daughters Coy and Calais. And to honor her daughter Cara, she was able to accept her high school diploma from Southfield High School. In remembrance of Cara, a scholarship was created. Faith is a huge advocate not only for domestic violence, but mental health as well. Green wants women and men to understand it's okay to seek help from an outside source. Faith was recently a keynote speaker for Detroit's nonprofit organization, How Understanding Something Helps, or HUSH. During this event, Faith was awarded $1,000 in seed money, which will help fund the businesses she created in remembrance of her loving children. During her keynote, she wanted to be a light to women. "I just want to encourage all women to just be encouraged, reach out and take that first step," she said. "A lot of times, you're stronger than you think." Even though that's a cliche phrase, we really are. We shouldn't have to be that strong, but a lot of the times we're put in positions where we have to be. But you can get through it if you get the right help and get with the right people. During the trial, when Gregory's punishment was announced in court, Faith stated, "There's no punishment that fits the crime. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all of eternity. You're a con artist, you are a monster, you are a devil in disguise." Please make sure you subscribe to The Cost of Crime and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos just like this one. I'll see you in the next video.